a lady who has continually risen against all odds. She has been braving chest pillow paralysis for over 2 decades. India's first paraplegic woman who's been a biker, swimmer, rallyist, and also first ever female Paralympic medalist. Today, she's enabling other people with disabilities live their life with meaning and joy. Joining us today is Dr. Deepa Malik. She's a Padma Shri, Khel Ratna, and Arjuna Award. Thank you so much, Dr. Deepa Malik, for joining us today on the NDTV Banega Swasth India Facebook Live.
Thank you. Honor is mine. Thank you so much.
So, today on this Banega Swasth India Facebook Live, we have a lot of questions coming. But before that, I have a question. You started your career only at the age of 30, and you could have given up and resigned to fate like most people would. But you took it up as a challenge and you went on to win a medal, and then there was just no stopping. What really inspired you? Because you're an inspiration to so many today.
I think what inspired me was quest of an identity. Having lost the body to paralysis, I did not want to be known as a sad person or as a person who is, considered a liability, considered a source of negativity in the home. For my children, for my husband, for my family, I wanted to be just a person who could be, looked upon as somebody who's fit, somebody who's happy, somebody who is, just a regular person. And in that quest, I just chose to do a few things which eventually turned out to be breaking stereotypes.
Yes.
The country had done it. And even joining sports was just an extension of that breaking the stereotype kind of a journey, ability beyond disability journey.
I mean, it's amazing. And, it just started with a medal and there was no looking back. Tell us just before we really start taking the questions about, the wheeling happiness, about that, which is actually turning disability to ability. I think that's been your motto. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
In my childhood, I suffered tumors and paralysis for about 4 years. I had some major surgeries and rehabilitation and a stint with disability, if I may call it. Then my elder daughter was born. My firstborn child met with an accident, had a severe head injury, leading to paralysis on the left of her body. So again, had to deal with disability in childhood of my child, only for it to come back at a young age of 30 years. Tumors came back and I was paralyzed chest down. Practically, the experience of facing taboos around disability continuously over a long period of my life. Saw mine, then a decade and a half later, saw my child's disability, and another decade later, I saw my disability again. And I realized that nothing has changed around disability. India may have progressed. There may be a lot of education, computers, internet, technology coming into the country. But when it comes to thoughts around disability,
it's still there.
Still negative. People don't know how to deal with people with disability. People are not sensitive enough for, infrastructure to be disabled friendly. Opportunities are not very many. Sponsorships. CSR is there, but then it gets diverted to, various other things, not keeping disability in the heart of inclusion. That's when we decided that the kind of troubles that we have faced as a mother-daughter duo, and I give a lot of credit to Devika for that, because she brought in the younger perspective. And that younger perspective was to let us formalize the way we help people. And Wheeling Happiness was named Wheeling Happiness because we were telling people to identify their source of happiness, revive and rejuvenate them, and we will support them in achieving it. If somebody wanted to learn driving, somebody wanted to play sports, somebody just wanted a mechanized wheelchair to from the home to the workplace. Somebody wanted to alter their bathrooms in their residences because in their economic framework, they were not able to afford it. Someone wants to just learn driving or even adventure. I mean, even if they wanted to just go and do rallies and wanted sponsorship for that. Support to give them the right assistive aids, wheelchairs, prosthetics.
Yeah. So
All initiative. When people thought sitting on the wheelchair, I will only be wheeling sadness, we converted it and made it wheeling happiness.
So, like you said, small initiatives have brought so much of joy and happiness in the other's life.
Absolutely. And each one of us can do it. I mean, this is my India at 75, where each one of us has to participate.
Yes.
Independence, when it became a Jan Andolan, when everybody became a crusader for freedom, we have to become crusaders for the new India. We have to give our time, our efforts to contribute.
In fact, you said India at 75, you are you are also a member of the Prime Minister's Modi's high level committee, for celebrating 75 years of India's independence. So and even in our campaign this year, NDTV Banega Swasth India, the one we're doing with Dettol, it is a lot about leaving no one behind. So inclusion is important. How much do you think, Dr. Deepa, we've come along in the last 75 years when it comes to inclusion? We may be giving people rights, but do they really have the accessibility? What are your thoughts on that? And how much more do we need to go on to actually bring that inclusion?
See, improvement is change and change is progress. So if we say we have done it all, that will be wrong. We have definitely moved in a positive direction on topics around women empowerment, inclusion, getting the marginalized section involved in the progress and their individual progress, creating many such schemes where they get empowered from. But I still feel that we have definitely a long way to go, but we have come a long way also. There is so much of talk around Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. There is so much of talk around Sugamya Bharat, accessibility. And even if I say I talk about the para sports, sports is a huge leveler. It's a huge medium to touch hearts of the people. And if Paralympic sports is growing in the country, it is definitely changing mindsets. Look at the way Tokyo 2020 was celebrated for Olympics and Paralympics both. When Honorable Prime Minister leads from the front and talks about inclusivity, he celebrates his birthday with children with disability. He congratulates the families and individuals winning medals from para sport. He greets them, meets them. So definitely when you see the focus of the governance and the policies are inclusive, they're bound to trickle down into the system. Yeah. Execution is more dependent on every human being individually.
Yes. So
the policies can be made and kept in the books, on the panels, in the constitution. But government is also for the people, by the people, of the people. If people don't join in, get sensitized enough to ensure that there is implementation of every such thought of the Prime Minister, execution of every policy that has been brought in place. So a lot of responsibility lies on the citizens as well.
I think that's really well put. I mean, the policies are there. We need to make sure we actually include everybody and leave no one behind. So on that note, we're going to start taking our questions, and we've got a lot of them. So Arvind wants to know, Dr. Deepa, what are some of the challenges faced by people with disabilities in our country, and how can we combat that?
I can sum it up in one word called accessibility. Whether it is the accessibility in the mindsets, whether it is the accessibility in the form of physical infrastructure, or even when it comes to accessibility, now the whole world has gone digital. How many people have made an effort to make their websites, their digital interface accessible? Are everyone looking at, creating softwares and adding them? There are software, there are methods of making every website disabled friendly. But are people really taking it to that level? So definitely accessibility is the major challenge when it comes to mindsets, when it comes to infrastructure, and when it comes to digital accessibility. So these are the points. I think if there is accessibility, then more of us can come out. More of us can lead a normal life, participate in things where we can also get an opportunity to hone skills and give back to the country.
Absolutely. Really, so many medals coming in. Really give back to the country and so much recognition brought in. Dr. Deepa Haricharan wants to know what has been the impact of COVID-19 on persons with disabilities in India?
To be very honest, people in disability have taken it better than people without disability, because we are already used to lockdowns in our lives. We are already used to not being able to step out that often, or to have places to visit where we could, or probably have more chance to livelihood, because these things are challenged. These are not so readily available for people with disabilities. So probably somewhere these lockdowns are part of our life. But yes, when it comes to, when already you are dependent on a lot of help, when you are dependent on a lot of people visiting you. For example, I personally, if I talk about myself, I need a physio visiting me every day. I have spastic paralysis where I need to get, physiotherapy done, passive movements done. I need to get a nurse made to give me catheterization. And if I need to travel from place A to place B, I need two people assisting me. But the lockdown took away that assistance. And if a child who's dependent on the parents and the parents have been quarantined, it has been hell for people with disability. So yes, it was a difficult phase. And I'm really grateful to all the Corona warriors and self-help and the people and the NGOs coming forward to assist. For example, we ourselves at 90 families with people with disability, sending them their diapers, medical aid, are trying to work out RCPTR tests for the physios to reach them and give them that kind of assistance. So these are very many challenges, and worst hit were those who lost the breadwinners and the child in the family who lost parents to COVID, or whom they were dependent. And intellectual disability children suffered the most, because who's going to take care of them?
Yes.
It did leave a void. It did leave a question mark.
Okay, so that is a very, very challenging, Haricharan. I hope you can answer that. Dr. Deepa, Saurabh Malhotra wants to know, how can we bring inclusion for people with disabilities?
A very interesting question, and a very simple one at that. The answer is simple. Take initiative. Part of the change. And bringing it recently from Tokyo 2020, the International Paralympic Committee and all the Paralympic fraternities of the world joined hands, launched a campaign called We the 15. It's a purple campaign, and you can Google it. The 15 is about the people. 15% of the world population suffers from some disability or the other. And it is time that this 15% of the world cannot be ignored. We have to get inclusion, and within the inclusion, we have to get disability at the heart of inclusion, because each one of us suffers disability or a physical challenge at some point of the other of our life. Not about people who are living with disability. It could be an advanced stage of pregnancy where a lady needs more assistance. It could be a lady with a pram. It could be a person, a young boy injured due to an accident and using a wheelchair. It could be an old lady walking on a walker, because these are age complications. It could be, a regular person walking with a stroller, a shopping cart. Each one of us needs inclusion is important, because unless everybody comes together and get their abilities on the table, we are not moving towards a holistic progress. If we say
Yes.
this is the new India, this is the India where we want to become a progressed nation,
Mhm.
want to have the world's largest economy, and we want to be a superpower. You cannot be a superpower or the largest economy when each one of us is not participating.
Yeah.
So
To empower everybody.
everybody's participation is involved in a holistic growth. And in any case, the health of a nation, the health of a society directly depends on how the women, the elderly, and the people with disability in that society are treated.
So it's really important to be part of the change, like you put it across. Aditya Soni is asking Dr. Deepa, the improvements that have been seen in attitudes of people and inclusive infrastructure when it comes to disabled people. So do you see that improvement?
Definitely, I see that improvement. The fact that I'm talking to you and all of them are asking me questions
Yes.
and they are believing that what I will say will make sense to them. I'm sitting on a wheelchair with a chest below paralyzed and talking. But the belief that I have done something or I am somebody itself clearly goes out to show that yes, attitude is changing. The way 130 crore Indians have celebrated the Paralympic medals and thousands of people have engaged in social media conversations around para sports. They have been in thousands to receive these sporting stars at the airport. There is a shift. Um, there is a lot of talk about inclusion, and it has become part of every company policy. People are talking about having women in leadership roles, and there are mandates around that. In para sports, this year, United Nations put a gender equality and gender participation rule.
Mm.
Uh, if it's a contingent, it will have a certain percentage of women. So we had to this time take physios who were women. We had to take escorts who were team escorts who were women. And a person in disability and a woman is leading a Paralympic Committee of India itself speaks about the change.
So the change is definitely coming. We all just, again, I'm repeating myself, just need to be a part of it. And of course, you, I think, such an inspiration and motivating each one of us. And the kind of questions which are coming, I don't know how many we'll be able to take. The other one, which has come, I'll quickly ask you, Vishwanath, how to protect disabled people from facing the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic? They want to know from you.
I think if you want to really save up anybody, forget about people with disability. There are just two basic steps. One, ensure they get vaccinated, because vaccination drives are equally important for people with disability.
Yes.
Assist those who are, there are people who can register on portals and get vaccinated at home there or in a particular area. You can make sure that every person in disability gets the vaccination, either support them to go to the vaccination booth or ensure that the vaccination reaches them at their residence if they are, challenged in mobility. So that is one way of after them. And the other way of looking after them, then be a responsible citizen. Wear the mask, so that people around you, whether able body, whether people without disability or with disability, don't be the spreader.
Yeah. So I think COVID protocol and vaccination. And the next question is on vaccination. Ankita Rajput wants to know what facilities have been made for the disabled people. What is our government doing on this for getting the COVID vaccine?
They have made they've tried to make and announce accessible booths. I myself went and got it done at booths where we had proper accessibility. They are choosing spots and centers where there is universal accessibilities. They are also coming out to your vehicle and giving you the injections inside the vehicle. I got mine, my second dose, I got it sitting in the car.
So, yeah.
They did not want to bother me by coming out. There are a lot of NGOs and government bodies working with accessible. For example, we partnered with SWAYAM, the NGO initiative in Delhi. They started special accessible vans, 8 of them, and you can just log in and request the van, and the van comes to your house and takes you to the booth. A lot of factors have started happening, and Definitely home to home. There is a unique code ID that you create by registering yourself on a portal. And when you have the disability unique code ID, you can show it,
Mhm.
uh, tell it to a particular booth and the doctors, and they send people to your home to get it done.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, like you said, the government is doing a lot, and of course,
Yes, definitely.
like you earlier also said, a lot of NGOs, a lot of people, the Corona warriors have come forward. So we're just going to take two more questions. We won't be able to take more than that. Arun wants to know, how can people with disabilities be helped, and how medicines and other facilities can be made available to them?
That is a self-explanatory, self-answered question. Can be done. There are a lot of government policies that are doing it. There are a lot of NGOs that are doing it on an individual basis. Maybe if every individual takes 1 square kilometer.
Yeah.
I mean, just okay, forget 1 square kilometer. Just take 500 square meters around you and say,
Yeah.
I want to help anybody who needs me. And if 85% of people without disability take that onus, 15% can easily be helped.
Yes. And just a last question, Dr. Deepa, which we'll be taking is, how can disabled people lead a happy life without any discrimination?
There is a chicken and egg story. One, who came first? What will come first? Will we get opportunities first, or will we step out and grab them? What I do is I always preach that please, in your individual capacity, try to hone at least one skill and become an expert in it. Whether it is sports, I chose adventure sports and sports. And I worked hard in empowering myself with these skills. And in turn, I gave medals to the country, and medals through the policies empowered me. I got a job, I got cash rewards, and I became somebody who was self-reliant. Similarly, it is very important for every person in disability to discover their own potential, their own ability, and then sharpen their skills around it so that you become a contributor to any organization and come with an ability on the table to become a part uh, of the journey of self-reliance.
That's so beautifully put. I mean, really, really true. I think you're a living example. You've done it, and you've made each one of us so proud. Thank you so much for joining us and answering all these questions to so many people who had so many questions for you. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.